Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/AskReddit by Reddit Universe. Cashiers of Reddit. What products make you silently judge the persons who buy them? Had a teenage girl come in with several members of her family. They all came up to the counter practically in tears and bought a pregnancy test. She then went into our bathroom to take the test, which I thought was odd. Seems like the kind of thing you'd do in the sanctity of your own home. Then the girl comes out, bawling, and then her family starts bawling and they're making a huge scene in the middle of my store. It was super duper awkward. When a guy buys feminine hygiene products and has to explain that it's for his girlfriend. Dude, nobody thinks you were buying tampons for yourself. Ex-cashier of 5 years here. After a while you don't notice and it all becomes the same, because you're so familiar with the items your store carries. Only time I have made an extreme judgment based on items purchased was when a man came in and purchased peanut butter, dog treats, condoms, lube and rope. Not even joking. Yeah, that's the condom game. You try to buy the stuff that'll freak out the cashier the most. Donuts, donut holes, super glue. I work in a bookstore. I've had people read with shame while they bought 50 Shades of Grey and make comments about how I must think they're idiots. Look, I don't give a shit what you buy. At least you're reading and keeping my store open. Do you also get the weekly old men who proudly slap down their peen mag on the counter? I used to work for Borders and those were always the nicest old men. No creepers. LOL. That was my grandpa. Awesome guy. Kept them hidden in the trunk of his car. Always would forget them in the grandchildren rooms when they left. All teenagers. Your grandpa was such a bro. Every time I buy lube, I always get this feeling that the cashier thinks I am buying it to have butt sex. Same feeling I get whenever I buy double-ended dildos. At what frequency are you buying double-ended dildos? If I was the cashier, I'd be more curious about how many you're trying to fit at once. Or what the frick are you doing to require a replacement twice a day? They're using it to recreate sexy Darth Maul battles. One of our customers buys anywhere from 25-32 bottles of laxatives a week. Every week, and not the oral kind either. Maybe he cares for a giant family of surprisingly healthy heroin addicts. Now I wonder if those laxatives have some sort of secondary purpose, like unclogging sinks or being a really effective plant fertilizer or something. From the looks of her, I'm assuming it's how she stays 75 pounds. I didn't judge, but it's a great story. I saw the guy in the condom aisle looking absolutely baffled. I am a pharmacist and went to help, with an inward sigh. Some people have no idea how to use them. He said, I have no idea what I'm looking at. There are so many. I've been fixed for almost 20 years. But my boy's going to college, and I don't want him bringing STDs or any babies home with him. He got really excited when I told him about Sperm Addict and bought 5-6 dozen count boxes. That's a good dad. Okay, quick story. I have an ultra conservative Asian mom who never ever even mentioned sex. Ever. When I got out of boot camp to my first duty station, everyone was getting care packages from home, cookies, civilian clothes, etc. I got one from my mom. It was about 100 condoms, assorted boxes, with a note, please be safe, and we will never talk about this package. Love, Mom. That's hilarious. Probably not so much for you at the time. My dad tried giving me the talk when I was 19. When I realized where he was going, I stopped him. Dad, I was having sex 3 years ago. I know how it all works. Thanks. I really hate to admit it now, but I was a bit of an ass back then. I called my mum to thank her for the condoms. I told her I would be using them as soon as I could. I could feel her blushing over the phone. He. Bracelets that harness a healing energy of magnets. Freshman year of high school, I was a cashier at a local grocery store. There was an upscale organic cupcake boutique in town that sold their cupcakes for about $4 each. It was ridiculous, but people still bought them. Anyway, the owner would come in every other week and buy about 20 boxes of Betty Crocker cupcake mix and frosting. She must have had like a 2000% rate of return on those things. I seem to recall a confession here once where a woman told about how she made cupcakes at home with cupcake mix. All her friends kept telling her how good they were and she should start a business. So, she did. Now she was scared shitless that someone would discover her secret. Now they were cakes and she was really good at decorating them, which is why she had a business. But yeah, she just used mix for the actual cake. Every week, this woman bought a shopping cart full of toilet paper. It wasn't my business to ask why, but was curious. How could anyone or any family use so much of it? One day, she said that she was glad it finally went on sale, because she donated most of it each week to the 2 homeless shelters in town. I thought that was so great. That took an unexpected nice turn. Was expecting I like to play mummy with my kids. I've been watching British shows for the past week, so I had to take a good 20 seconds to figure out what you were saying. I cashiered at Home Depot. Had a dude in his mid-20s pull up to my register with rope, duct tape, cleaning gloves, tarp, bleach, Febreze, cookies, bucket, sponges. I rung him up. I didn't even notice what he'd purchased until he came back in. He just said, "Dude, I could be planning a murder and you didn't even care." What the frick? I just lost $20. Then he went to return everything except the cookies. True story. Real murderers use self-checkout. I would be more inclined to think that real murderers would spread those purchases out over several locations and days. Cash only. I got judged by a cashier once. I was working in a welding and fabrication facility at the time as a repair guy. Since I wasn't one of the welders, I would often get tasked with whatever needed doing. The particular job at the time required ultrasonic testing of bends made in some tubing to ensure proper wall thickness. We had 1 tube of ultrasound gel. Sure enough, the tube got knocked off the table and run over by a forklift. The job was very time critical and we need to do the ultrasounds now. A good substitute for ultrasonic gel is KY. I grabbed a fistful of petty cash and rushed over to a nearby grocery store and grabbed every tube of KY they had. I then ran up to the cashier, who then rang up tube after tube after tube. I was in such a rush that I really hadn't thought about the normal use of KY. As she was looking at me oddly and silently ringing up my purchase, I said something like, "It has been crazy at work today." The look on her face was priceless. Halfway out of the parking lot I realized what happened. We all had a good laugh about it at work and I had the nickname of KY for a few days. When parents with very overweight kids buy nothing but junk food, do you judge people who are high and buy junk food? I worry sometimes. Also, can you tell I'm high when I do it? Usually after you leave my co-workers and I will comment about how stoned the last guy was. We'll laugh briefly and get on with things. We don't judge you, we mostly envy you. Hut up. I had a cashier at Walmart a few weeks ago that was so stoned. I swear it felt like I had a contact high. Time stood still and I started to forget why I was there. Once I left, I felt sober again. When I made it to the parking lot, I swear I found his car. Newer VW Beetle with flame decals. This isn't exactly the same thing, but I used to work at AutoZone. One day a customer came in and asked if there were any deals on our strongest antifreeze. I asked him if he meant the lowest temperature rating and he said no, the one with the most ethylene glycol. I was really confused and asked him what he needed it for and he told me it was because his neighbor's kids just got kittens and they were trespassing on his property. I excused myself and went back to my boss, the store manager, and told him, and he told me I had to make the sale. I had to sell him 4 gallons of antifreeze to kill some defenseless kittens and absolutely crush his neighbor's kids. I try to never say I hate anybody and I never wish harm on anybody, but yeah, the new stuff is encrypted by law, though not in all places, so the cats would have likely not gotten into it anyway. I don't really know anything else about antifreeze except that it stops freezing and hurts, kills animals. It happened like 4 years ago in Ohio, USA with peak full strength antifreeze. True fact. If for some reason you or your dog, or cat, ever suffers ethylene glycol poisoning, the remedy is alcohol, vodka, whiskey, whatever. you. They will feel like shit, but won't be dead. Not a cashier, but I worked in fulfillment for Amazon for 4 years. I can't tell you how many times I checked out the name on the label for a shipment of questionable combinations. Memorable shipments. Lube plus dildo plus baby Einstein video. 16 bottles of laxatives plus adult diapers. Anytime someone orders Thai Hookers 101, what you must know about sex and prostitutes before coming to Thailand. A Vietnamese lady came in a day after Valentine's Day to buy candy. She bought hundreds of bags. I made a joke about how the dentist bill must be insane, and she told me how she sends the candy to orphan homes in Vietnam, because they don't have candy there apparently. Don't judge a book by its cover, guys. I know a guy that purchases cases of water-based lube every other week to donate to homeless shelters. What? Homeless people tend to have dry elbows. I worked as a cashier at Kmart once and it was like my 3rd week there, and then this couple came into my line. They were buying lube, tissues and condoms. As awkward as it was, I had to ring them up. Then out of the complete blue the guy asks me, "Hey, you should ask me what I'm going to do with those." My supervisor turns and looks me dead in the eyes as a literal ball of sweat drips from my brow. I'm awestruck. I continue to ring them out in silence, then I say I'd rather not. They both laugh at me and I just continue to ring them out. Heavy judgment, because the chick was really hot. Kmart was my first job. I loved when Mexican dudes would come into my line with multiple packs of man thongs. Other than that freaking job sucked. You say that like there were multiple occurrences of this. It happened on the reg. Not a cashier, but I have a story. I got rectal cancer at age 28. I had my rectum removed. During recovery I became completely incontinent, so I had to start wearing Depends. Just for clarity, I'm a tall, skinny, relatively well-dressed young woman. The teenage boy checking me out at Walmart let out a quiet damn when he bagged them. Dude, it just assume your grandma sent you to the store. I've bought them a few times, and it was always for my grandma and I never even thought twice about it. The only time I really judged someone was when he came in and found a perfume he liked and bought 2. I said, it would probably be a good idea if you have 2 women in your life, thinking wife, mother, daughter, etc., to get them something different. He said, oh, no, one is for my wife, the other for my girlfriend. If they wear the same perfume I don't have to worry about my wife smelling my girlfriend's perfume on me. I mean, that is smart, but it's also shitty. Once I went into a Victoria's Secret to buy a Valentine's gift for my girlfriend. The cashier asked me, would you like to join the Bra of the Month club? I asked her what it was, and she said, not knowing if I was married or not, you get 1 bra shipped to you every month which you can give to your wife or girlfriend. I said, can I get 1 for each of them? And she looked at me kind of horrified until I started laughing. The only people I silently judge are the ones trying to make up a reason for me to not silently judge them. So what if you eat that whole cake by yourself? Live a little. Not a cashier either, but when my friend would buy Depends you could tell the cashier and everyone in line would judge him hard. He was a 23-year-old college kid who still peed the bed when he drank. He tried his best. Man. You've got to buy some stereotypical old people things with it, and pretend you're doing your grandpa a favor. Yep. Some ace bandages and some gold bond in this would have been fine. That's a good enough reason to just not get drunk. I'm a clerk at a convenience store. Not something I judge harshly for, just something I've noticed and I think is funny. Teenagers buying condoms. Most adults buying condoms just come in, grab the condoms, pay for them, and leave. Most people are having sex, and adults realize that no one cares. Teenagers buying condoms are super awkward about it though. Typical scenario. A couple comes in, they look like they're about 15 or 16. The girl hangs out by the front door, looking around awkwardly or just staring at her phone. The boy will walk up and down the candy aisle, candy on one side, health and beauty stuff on the opposite side, pretending to look at candy. but keep looking at the condoms to try to see what the selection is without looking like he's looking at condoms. Bonus awkwardness if he texts his girlfriend to ask her opinion while she's standing right in front of me waiting. He'll then grab the absolute cheapest piece of candy he can find, and a box of Trojan fire and ice, every time. The way the kid wants it to look is I dragged my girlfriend down, because I absolutely needed a single lemon head right this second, but I suppose I'll grab condoms while I'm here. Then after one of them pays, they'll quickly walk away with their heads huddled together acting like they just got away with something. I always want to tell them that they don't have to treat it like something shady or dirty, and that no one gives a shit. But I'm happy they're using protection, and I worry that even mentioning it would embarrass them enough to risk not coming in next time. Every time this question comes up, I wonder, what makes you think I think anything about you? I think about my feet hurting, my back aching, and how long until my shift ends. You? Not so much. I'm a cashier and this is it. The only time I think about the customers is when they are doing something actually annoying. So if you're not licking your fingers before touching the bills, being super critical about how I do things, telling me the same stupid joke that I've already heard 5 times this shift, or anything generally annoying, I don't care what you buy. Licking your fingers, or sneezing into your wad of cash, or pulling it from a sweaty crack of your body, or giving me all the soda-soaked change from your cup holders. Ah, my favorite joke. Me. This didn't scan correctly. Them. That must mean it's free then hoi doi doi. When parents get angry at their kids for wanting a 50p pack of stickers, or some cheap child's magazine saying we don't have enough money for that, whilst paying for cigarettes and lottery tickets. Sometimes I just lie to my kids about not having money, because we have so much of this random shit at home that I think I'm going to scream every time I open a drawer in the kitchen. As a parent of 6-year-olds, twins, I could not agree with you more. It's like every goddamn step I take I am stepping on a coloring book or random pack of some kind of bullshit that I just said fine you can get it if you just shut the hell up about it. If I have to pick one more sticker off of the bottom of my sock at the end of the day I'm going to lose it. I used to work at a Save-A-Lot as a cashier. Our client base tended to be a little lower on the economic ladder. At the first of the month, when the benefits get loaded to their cards, I always hated to see people push a cart up full of soda, chips, etc. These people also usually tended to be in poor health. I didn't really judge them, I more felt pity for them. I also didn't like seeing people who would come in with the PIN number for their card on a piece of paper. It was a small town, I know that wasn't your card. I didn't hold it against the people who had the misappropriated card, but more against the people who sold their $300 worth of food stamps for $150 so they could buy alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, etc. The sad part was, a lot of the people selling had kids. Not a cashier, but I learned the other day that apparently you get judged for buying alcohol at 7 AM. The cashier was pretty vocal about it and if I wasn't so non-confrontational, I would have told a manager. She flat out said something along the lines of, "It's a little too early for boozing up, don't you think?" 1. None of your business if I'm drinking early in the morning. 2. It was on sale during a routine trip to get milk and such. Am I supposed to just leave it and come back after 5 PM to buy my alcohol? However, when I got home, I realized how my entire purchase looked. I got milk, chocolate milk, Lunchables, also on sale, and a strawberry daiquiri. She probably thought I had kids or something, so I understand her concern. Kind of. She didn't have to say anything, though. It really struck a nerve. That is so dumb. Just because you're buying alcohol at 7 in the morning doesn't mean you're gonna go home and drink it immediately. Do you buy a week's worth of groceries and go home to eat it all right away? No. Do you buy a week's worth of groceries and go home to eat it all right away? Yes. Generally the time it'd say well I got a long drive. When contractors, painters would buy America's Finest or Speedwall paint, I assume they are overcharging a family or company by getting the cheapest paint as possible. I'm not a painter, I'm a roofer, but hear me out. If I was to do every roof with the top of the line materials at every stage, I would be bankrupting families left and right. The construction game has changed a lot even in the short decade I've been playing, and the market is flooded with all sorts of products that may or may not be worth it. Navigating that minefield is supposed to be my job. I try to take homeowners by the hand, break the news to them that they can't afford my homes, and present their tiered options. But sometimes they're convinced they know more than you. They're a retired contractor who has never seen the new products, or they watch a lot of DIY Network, or they helped a buddy build a deck. They're convinced you're trying to sell them on bullshit to pad your bottom line. And they will insist on the cheapest option, then cut things out of it. Underlayment? Don't need it. New flashing? Too expensive. Rotten eaves? We've got some wood lying around. Fiberglass shingles? What are you, a commie? Not because they can't afford better, but because they think you're trying to cheat them. And so I wind up at the lumber yard, because I can't force them to do it my way, putting in a bullshit order, because that's all they're going to pay for. My father is a contractor and he faces these kinds of problems often. He's too honest and charges as little as he can while still getting by, and it sucks. That said, there are a lot of shitty contractors out there that are able to charge less by cutting corners. Those are the ones that you have to avoid, not the ones that buy cheap materials, because you don't want to buy it yourself. We sell Batman underwear that comes with an underwear cape at my work. I always have a little bit of judgment when those come through my line. Also, when old people buy leggings. Where is this? I need to know for me. Oh god. My parents bought me these for Christmas. I'm 26. Actually they are the TMNT version, but what do you do with the cape? You can't wear these under anything, because the cape bunches. Am I supposed to wear these over my pants? I feel bad removing the cape portion, so I've left it on so far. I'm pretty sure they're for running around your house with no pants on. Boy, Amazon sure solved a lot of the issues in this thread. Not a cashier, but I shop at Whole Foods. Invariably there will be someone in front of me. She will have some $30 snake oil supplement and an overloaded container of prepared food, the kind where you pay by the pound. She will pull out cash as she is rung up and realize that she doesn't have enough to cover both, so she takes the snake oil and leaves the food, which cannot be resold. I assume not only is she a moron for buying some bullshit supplement, but is hoping the cashier will let her keep the food once it has been voided, since it is going into the trash. As a former Whole Foods employee, these people are infuriating. If it's a repeat offender, I'm surprised they don't ban her. Or they're in cahoots and splitting the food later? Ha. LOL, I work in a small hardware store, and if someone comes up to buy a plunger, and sometimes it's these young women, I wonder if they're the ones who just took a big enough shit to clog up their toilet and have to come get a plunger. I buy a plunger whenever I have to toss an old one for any reason. Waiting until you need a plunger to purchase one is a bad idea. This begs the question of, why are you tossing your plungers away so often? Are they getting damaged? Unclogging your massive poop from the toilet. Got you. I have had to buy a few pregnancy tests in my time, and I always switch the diamond ring my boyfriend bought me to my left hand so I don't get a look of pity. Just so you think I am not crazy, I have a really irregular period. Sometimes it'll skip a month. Sometimes I'll get 2 in a month. But point is that I am on no schedule, so I have to take pregnancy tests a lot, because I am not sure if it is my weird period or pregnancy. Just go to the dollar store and buy a ton so you can be stocked up for next time. I'm also irregular, and that's what I had to do. They sell them at the dollar store. Oh, the diamond ring thing is brilliant. I'm not a cashier, but once my husband and I were buying cosplay items. We bought a crowbar, a bat, and duct tape. The cashier asked if she needed to call the police. Mayo, we've gotten that as well. While building a couple portal guns, the guy at the hardware store asked if we were building pipeloms. He recommended using metal pipes instead of PVC. They're very helpful. When I was a cashier, not jack shit. I don't care what you bought. I wasn't there to judge. I worked at Spencer's and happened to sell an assortment of sex toys to a large assortment of people. So when I later got a job at a grocery store, someone buying unhealthy food or a box of condoms didn't faze me. No one should judge you on your purchasing decisions. You should just be able to get your shit and get the frick out. I was at Walmart buying groceries and picked up a bottle of lube. I have a fleshlight. It wasn't for butt stuff. This young guy was ringing me up, but when he tried to scan the KY Ultra Gel it didn't work, so he kept trying to scan it. Then I could see it on his face. He suddenly realized what he was holding. He looked really uncomfortable as he kept trying to scan it. Normally I'm slightly embarrassed as I pay for lube. Not this time though. As he kept running it over the scanner I softly said, "Yeah, keep going." Just like that. His face turned red and it finally scanned. I paid for my groceries and was on my way. Best time I ever had buying lube. You gotta be a little rough if you want it to go through. If you buy groceries using WIC, woman with infants and children, basically low income help for not so well off mothers, and food stamps, and then go over to the counter to buy a carton of cigarettes and $400 in scratch offs, I am judging the frick out of you. Had so many people do this when I worked retail. WIC is a great program, but it drove me nuts when WIC people would feign ignorance on what they could get with those coupons. No, you can't get Cocoa Puffs and chocolate milk with this voucher, idiot. Now I have to send someone back to get the right cereal and milk while I get death stares from the people behind you. I'm not a cashier, but I do sometimes buy Magnum XL condoms in an attempt to impress a cashier I'm kind of hot for. Oh no, I dropped my monster condoms for my Magnum dong. If every single product is organic and costs twice as much as its non-organic counterpart, and you talk on your phone while checking out and wear your sunglasses inside and your little tennis skirt, I don't like to judge people, but that just screams upper class white entitled bitch. And I'm white. I work at a tea shop, and we get these people all the time. I wish we could refuse to serve people until they get off the phone, but no dice, sadly. It's so rude. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos every day.